A Tale of a Journey visualized in 1979. This is a quest of two classmates that travel the globe in 1989. Despite the classmates are living throughout the world, the former class officers are determined to make their 10-year reunion a success. Enjoy the drama they encounter in the future. 1989. The date is May 20th, 1989. Laura Gannon, former class president of the class of '79, and Jan Hall, former class treasurer, will try to locate the whereabouts of the other 150-plus students from the class. Laura and Jan plan to take notes of their journey. If you're reading their story, you must have received your invitation to the 10-year reunion. Rumor has it that Morgan Freeman will be narrating the notes of their adventure at the reunion. Laura separates the list of classmates and hands a stack to Jan with invitations. She keeps a stack for herself, for her search. And the journey begins. Laura boards a plane to the West Coast. The plane is co-piloted by Charles Blakeman and Tim Dalton. As Morgan Freeman waves goodbye, Laura finds flight attendants Leslie Burns and Kelly Jarrett. Leslie and Kelly offer coffee, tea, or milk to Brian Gannon, who is on his way to a business meeting in Los Angeles. Jan takes a cruise to England to locate some students and pass out invitations. Jan finds Captain Dale DePriest, tour guide Randy Akers, and cruise director Mildred DeLong. Also, on the ship, Jan sees the ship's doctor, Roger Saunders, and the ship's bartender, Joey McFan. Jan spots former driver's education teacher and current Ironton mayor Archie Malone on the deck. Archie tells her that he's planning on attending this year's Mrs. Universe contest. Inside the bar, Jan hears Morgan Freeman telling Joey the bartender about his new movie that outgrossed the last atom bomb movie. At the end of the bar is the man that is known as the Carpenter to the Stars, Craig Van Meter. Craig is spilling the tea on Hollywood celebrities. Jan overhears Craig telling Joey about the co-stars feuding on the set of the new atom bomb movie. More on them later. Meanwhile, Laura Gannon lands at LAX airport. Laura is greeted by baggage men Steve Wagner and David Jenkins. John drives her to the Dean and Dean Hotel, owned and operated by Teresa Dean and Penny Dean. Laura enters the hotel where she meets the bellboy, or bellgirl rather, Cindy Jones. Cindy shows Laura to her room. In her way to the room, Vegas card shark Robert Justice is running down the hallway. Robert is running from a California cop who happens to be Greg Neal. Has the lucky card shark's luck run out? While rushing to get out of the way, Laura accidentally enters the honeymoon suite instead of her own room. In the honeymoon suite, Laura finds Las Vegas real estate moguls, Bill Bogus and Ann Stamper. Laura lays down her invitations and leaves the room embarrassed. Laura runs out of the room and runs smack into room service, Tommy Pinkerman. While Laura heads to her room, Jan has arrived in England. After leaving the ship, she immediately finds a disco. At the disco, local dance instructor Sherry Thornton is burning up the dance floor. Sherry's star student Morgan Freeman is spotted doing the hustle on the dance floor. Jan notices local mechanic William Gullett entering the club. Former opera singer Rhonda Gannon, now reinventing herself as a disco diva, is about to take the stage to perform her new disco single, When I Wear My Satin Bell-Bottoms, I'm on Top of the World. Rumor has it that Rhonda will be covering a disco version of Chills, Cries, and Screams on her next album. This was a monster hit for classmate Frank Barnhart. We can't wait to hear it. Also spotted at the discotheque is everyone's favorite DJ, John Mayo. While in the disco, She is reunited with her high school flame, Vernon Stevens. Vernon is a contractor that admits the only thing he couldn't build was the courage to seek out Jan. Vernon and Jan have a long talk. He tells her that he disappeared for several years because he was in a terrible car accident. Vernon concentrated on being the best contractor that he could be during his time away from Jan and his family. Jan and Vernon make plans to reunite at the reunion. Jan goes on her way. The car accident that Vernon was involved in demolished a Rolls-Royce owned by Beth Ferguson, a promising pianist. The Royce was her graduation present after graduating from the New England Conservatory of Music. In California, Laura ventures to Hollywood and stops at 20th Century Fox, where Frank Barnhart is filming his latest film release, Atom Bomb 2. The first one was a dud. Frank's co-star in this picture is none other than Becky Stamper. This is Becky's first blockbuster movie. Becky's last film was the low-budget movie Murder at the Dean and Dean Hotel. The writer of the explosive film Atom Bomb 2, the first one was a dud, is Charles "Chuck" Kelly. Chuck's previous screenplays include The Rolls-Royce Colliders, Bloody Mary Judgment Day, and Supertrain Superheroes. After receiving Frank and Becky's autograph and handing out invitations, Laura drives to the beach to locate some more students. On her way there, she picks up a man alongside the road. It's Freddie Stamper. Freddie tells her that he just picked up a hitchhiker. He thought was a class of 1980 student at first, but he tells Laura the person looked like Morgan Freeman. The hitchhiker pulled a knife on him and took his car. Freddie said that his car was stolen, but he did get a ride to the freeway from long-distance truck driver Larry Robinson. Laura and Freddie arrive at the beach. Freddie is working there today as the lifeguard. They spot Pam and Paula Chaffins in the ocean, hanging 10, 5 apiece. Pam and Paula own a local surfboard shop. The Chaffins girls contract work to local artists Christy Rogers and Kathy Stamper to paint unique designs on the boards. Today, Christy and Kathy are using their artistic creativity on the beach, building sand castles. Also on the beach is Don Bailey. He's a local reporter that tells Laura Gannon of his latest scoop. A man with a knife that was driving Freddie Stamper's car had just been swallowed by a shark. Don Bailey manages to snap an interview with the rarely seen, highly inaccessible mermaid that we knew as Penny McFan. Penny tells Don that the person she saw that escaped the shark looked like Morgan Freeman to her. She also tells Don, though, that the person that was swallowed looked like a class of 1980 student. Don tells Laura that luckily for this mysterious person, believed to be a class of 1980 student, was barfed up and left unharmed. Laura Gannon spots a psychiatric help 5-cent booth. Luckily, psychologist Laura Dalton listens to Laura Gannon's stressful journey and finds her West Coast classmates. Laura Gannon pays her nickel, leaves an invitation, grabs a business card, and is on her way. Meanwhile, in England, Jan visits the Buckingham Palace. Also visiting that day are American comedians Clinton Wagner and Linda Coburn. The comedy act of Clinton and Linda will be performing this evening at the Mrs. Universe beauty pageant and invited Jan to attend. The palace is being guarded by foot guards, Norman Ansem and Danny Bond. Jan admires their bearskin caps. Jan asks the Buckingham Palace butler, Wayne Addis, how she can get one. Wayne invites her inside to get her a hat. Jan tries on the cap and uniform and has a picture taken with former classmate Norman Ansem before giving Norman and Danny their invitations. Jan enters the dining room where she is seated at a table by Royals maids Helen Johnson and Buttons McCormick. Buttons and Helen are serving a turkey prepared by palace chef Terry Cade. After Jan gobbles down some turkey, Jan leaves with her new hat to seek out the rest of the classmates on her list. Jan strolls over to the stables, where international famous jockeys Charles Yaley and Danny Turley are admiring the new Buckingham Palace racehorse, Chieftain. Charles and Danny will be racing in the Cheltenham Festival this March in the UK. Jan attends the Mrs. Universe pageant. As she stands in the coat check line, checking in her bearskin hat, supermodel Leah Clement is in front of her, checking in her wings she wore at her recent photo shoot. Professional skier Rhonda Kearns is also in line, checking in her skis and excited to see the show. This will be the second classmate in 2 years to be in the pageant. Jan is seated next to Terry DePriest, the new host of the revamped reality show Battle of the Network Stars. The winner of the Mrs. Universe pageant is rumored to be on the new season of her show. Former winner of the Battle of the Network Stars, Morgan Freeman, is one of the judges at this event. Other American judges at the pageant include talk show host Hunter Hoffman, philanthropist Chris Cheney, and fashion designer Jimmy Hankins. Jan watches as Clinton Wagner and Linda Coburn perform at the pageant. Now, the big moment arrives for the crowning of Mrs. Universe. Last year's winner, Kathy Burke Coons, crowns this year's winner. And the winner is 1988 Olympian balance beam gold medalist and former groove thang shaker, Tonda Wilds. Congrats, Tonda. As Jan gathers her bearskin hat and helps Leah with her wings, she prepares to travel to Italy. Amongst the prizes that Tonda won is concert tickets to Rhonda Gannon's disco tour, Clinton Wagner and Linda Coburn's comedy tour in Las Vegas, tickets to the Cheltenham Festival's horse race, and tickets to see Arden Reese's band Slobber in Los Angeles. Laura decides to go to the Super Bowl. She sees the Dallas Cowboys linebacker Tom Henderson. The Dallas Cowboys manager Teddy Bamer is keeping one eye on the team and the other on the lovely Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. On the sideline, Laura sees some familiar faces among the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Laura hands out invitations and tells the classmates that she's heading back to her hotel to get ready to catch a train. The cheerleaders include Sally Markle, Jackie Matkins, and Teresa Virgin. Laura rushes to the hotel to pack, check out, and catch her ride on the super train. Unaware that a motorcycle cop is following her, Laura is pulled over by motorcycle cop Steve Jenkins. Steve writes her a ticket and is ordered to appear in court. Who knows how it will turn out? Jan takes a plane to Italy to find Terry Scott playing basketball as a U.S. Olympian. Terry has scored 35 points so far and is being cheered on by his coach Mark Davidson. In the bleachers is Wanda K. Witt, a foreign language teacher and recent Ohio Teacher of the Year recipient. Wanda is enjoying her 2-week vacation traveling Europe. Wanda watches the halftime festivities. Morgan Freeman storms onto the court and accidentally knocks over Terry Scott while he's headed to the locker room. Terry's ankle is severely sprained. Luckily for Terry, team sports medics James Dodson and Tony Banks are nearby to help Terry off the court. James and Tony take Terry to an ambulance driven by Charles Denon and is rushed to a local hospital in Italy. Jan follows the ambulance. 3 highly trained class of 79 nurses happen to be working at the Ospedale Luigi Sacco Hospital in Milan. Jan and the ambulance are met by the door by nurses Sherry Evans, trauma nurse, Christy McIntyre, surgical nurse, and Terry Robinson, clinical nurse specialist. Terry is soon treated. When Jan learns that Terry will be fine, she leaves her bearskin hat for Terry and gets a ride to the airport to leave Italy. In California, Laura Gannon is waiting patiently. Laura is waiting on her court case. Laura is represented by the very analytical and articulate lawyer, Tammy Daniels. The presiding judge is Mary Wagner, otherwise known as Bloody Mary. As Laura enters the courtroom, she notices a jury consisting of Dora Bailey, a librarian in southern Los Angeles, Edna Dodson, a programmer in Silicon Valley, Lonnie Fry, a construction worker, and Donald Friend, a rehabilitation counselor. Bloody Mary does not allow photographs inside the courtroom, so Los Angeles Times reporter Colin Dillon took pictures outside, while sketch artist Debbie Knipp concentrated on everyone on trial and on the jury. Samples of Debbie's sketching of class of 1979 jury members. The bailiff, Forrest Kearns, reads the verdict. Laura is found guilty and sentenced to 2 years in prison for speeding. Bloody Mary has done it again. Colin Dillon comes inside before Laura is thrown in her cell that she will share with rats for the next 2 years. Colin asks Laura if the reunion is really worth everything she has gone through. Laura replies that she would do it all again to make the reunion happen. Jan catches a plane back to the States. She sees Dreama Prince, former owner of Prince's Sugar Cookie Shop, and Richard Farmer, former WWF superstar. The two have teamed up and started the Farmer and His Prince workout videos, combining exercising and cooking after workout treats. Dreama spots a class of 1980s student attempting to hijack the plane. Luckily for the passengers, Richard Farmer, former WWF superstar, saves the day, and the plane is redirected to Ironton, Ohio. Jan heads to the car rental, where Agent Keith McFan helps her with her 1989 convertible Mustang. Jan soon begins her cruise down 3rd Street to find more classmates. At the First National Bank, Terry Glado is about to receive her award for Banker of the Year. Jan also notices former Latch Rug Factory workers, now lottery winners Mary Jenkins and Dale Johnson. The lucky ladies are counting out their money at the bank. Mary and Dale are just a couple of the millionaires living in Ironton. Jan also sees Kathy Pridgeon, a teacher at the newly opened Rock Hill Elementary No. 5, the new Catholic grade school in southern Ohio. The school is located in Corryville. Once the students graduate from the 5th grade, they have the choice to move on to Rock Hill Middle School or attend St. Joe. Mary Jenkins happens to be humming the ABBA song Money, Money, Money when Jan gives them their invitations. Dale Johnson advised that the millionaire classmate Brenda Pinkerman lives nearby. More on Brenda later. She is on Laura's list of classmates. Dale tells Jan that local millionaire Rick Hilgenberg will be attending ending the reunion. Rick, retired now, worked as a talent agent. Rick's former clients include the heavy metal band Slobber, featuring Arden Reese, supermodel Leah Clement, dance instructor Sherry Thornton, and actress Becky Stamper. Jan leaves the bank and runs into Beth Bond, who tells her to come visit her kung fu school on 6th Street. Jan walks into their Arnton Cinema, owned and operated by Steve Malone. Atom Bomb opened in Ironton at the Arnton last year. When the sequel, Atom Bomb 2, the first one was a dud, opens, Frank Barnhart and Becky Stamper will be walking the red carpet here. Jan buys popcorn and hot dogs from the theater concession, where Mary Ray and Pam Miller tell her she's going to love the original Atom Bomb movie. The ushers Bill Littlejohn and Mark Legg take Jan's ticket and show her to her seat to see the original Atom Bomb movie. Even though Mark tells Jan the ending, she stays and watches it, and the next 2 showings. Laura Gannon has went from sitting in her jail cell, naming the mice, to getting into the best shape of her life. Besides working out, Laura has been writing to the California governor, pleading her case for a pardon. Enter prison guard Jeff Ruth. Jeff comes to Laura's cell with life-changing news. Prison guard Jeff Ruth has Laura's pardon from Governor Debbie Brown, niece of former Governor Jerry Brown. Governor Debbie gets hundreds of letters from inmates pleading for a pardon. She liked Laura's mission, and she also liked that Laura included a class reunion invitation. Laura speaks to card shark Robert Justice on her way out and promises him that if he isn't released in time for the reunion, that she'll make sure that all classmates write to Debbie to ask for his pardon. Laura leaves quickly and boards the super train to Decatur, Ohio. Laura buys her train ticket from conductor Alan Jenkins. Terry Fout, mail guard, railroad police, greets Laura in the hallway. Alan directs Laura to Porter, Chris Gallion, who helps her to her cabin. Laura sees travel nurse Terry Reed as she revives train-sick Marjorie Coleman, who is on her way to a vacuum cleaners salesperson convention. Once revived, Marjorie begins to vacuum the floor in Terry's office. Laura hears a loud argument down the hallway and suspects that a class of 1980 student is at it again. In the bar section of the super train, Laura spots the traveling buddies and political rivals, Marty Jones, a used car salesman in Ironton, and Greg Gilmore, a personal injury lawyer based in Ironton. Both Marty and Greg will be running for mayor this fall in Ironton to replace Archie Malone. The citizens will need to decide who they trust more: Archie Malone, Marty the used car salesman, or Greg, the personal injury lawyer. As a commotion begins again, super-trained superheroes Lana Williams and Renee Johnson appear to start canvassing the train. The superheroes got a description of the suspect, that they look a lot like Morgan Freeman. It was reported that Morgan was harassing train passengers. Laura is overwhelmed with all the excitement. Laura runs into engineer Mark Scott. He assures her that the train will arrive in Decatur, Ohio, in 2 hours. He says she may want to rest, so she visits Terry Reed for medication. After Jan wakes up at the theater from the Atom Bomb showings, she decided to see more of Ironton. She stops at the Mullins & Mullins Craft House Brewery, the first one in Ohio. Ohio-brewed Mullins beer has made Ironton a tourist attraction and staple in the community. It all started in a garage in Mullinsville. Jan gets a tour of the brewery from owners and operators Kathy and Sheila Mullins. Kathy takes Jan to see production brewers Lori Mays and Debbie Moore. Besides tasting samples, the duo stay busy developing marketing plans for the finished products. Jan also sees Level 4 brewery apprenticeships Alan Miller and Cherie Pugh that are in charge of managing the supply chain and developing new brands. Mullins beer truck delivery drivers Curtis Henderson and Danny Russell are loading up cases for their next delivery. Jan hands out more invitations and gets into her Mustang to see more of 3rd Street. The super train arrives in Decatur, Ohio. Laura's taxi driver Rose Harmon takes her to her first stop. Laura visits Avon representative Debbie Campbell and Mary Kay consultant Gina Sharp. The two classmates with proven sales skills are discussing a potential business as they chat by the picket fence that separate their homes. Gina mentions that they should speak to Rhonda Carmen and Debbie Taylor. Rhonda and Debbie are known as the Pink Ladies. Gina thinks they can join forces for one-stop shopping of Avon, Mary Kay, Tupperware, and any other ventures that may come along. Debbie Campbell thinks they should also speak to Brenda Pinkerman to invest in this new company. They stop at the Pedro Market. Pedro Market features a variety of vegetables and fruits grown by local Pedro farmers. The store attracts shoppers throughout the tri-state area. Debbie Cade and Penny Houchin are the new owners of the Pedro Market. Laura decides to buy some vegetables and Mullen's beer while she is there. Laura buys a copy of The Farmer and the Prince VHS tape. Her plan is to have Richard and Dreama sign it at the reunion. Debbie Cade gives Laura a copy of the Atom Bomb movie poster hanging at the market. Laura leaves as her driver, Rose, takes her to Kitts Hill. As Rose and Laura pass through Kitts Hill, they notice McCollister Designs. The advertising firm is owned and operated by former classmate Melanie McCollister. Melanie is responsible for many billboards throughout the tri-state area. Laura notices a billboard announcing the opening of Phillips Grocery. A chain of supermarkets owned by Teresa Phillips is coming to Kitts Hill and Hanging Rock. Billboard by McCollister Designs. Another McCollister Designs billboard that Laura sees is a billboard advertising the local daytime talk show Reynolds Rap, hosted by Brenda Reynolds. On Reynolds Rap this month, guests include the hard rock band Slobber, disco sensation Rhonda Gannon, Frank Barnhart, and Becky Stamper, promoting their new movie Atom Bomb 2. The first one was a dud, and basketball sensation Terry Scott. Laura stops at town millionaire Brenda Pinkerman's home. Brenda's inheritance and generosity has benefited many small businesses in the Ironton area. Brenda Pinkerman tells Laura that she recently invested in Lynn Grant's newly opened hair salon, Grant Me the Femininity. Lynn's new business is in downtown Hanging Rock, an up-and-coming area that younger people are moving to. Brenda also tells Laura about the Love is a Rose flower shop in Hanging Rock that she invested in with owners Cindy Childers and Terry Stamper. Brenda tells Laura that if the class of '79 needs a venue for the reunion, that she can use her home. Brenda tells her that her realtor Melinda Wilson specifically showed her homes with ballrooms. Melinda has become a highly sought-after real estate agent in southern Ohio. Brenda tells her she will look up her business card and invite her to the reunion. As Laura and Rose leave Brenda's mansion, Rose gets a call in her cab from Jan Hall on a CB radio. Jan tells her that she is a Frank DeLauder's electronics store on 2nd Street, and they make plans to meet in Ironton. Jan tells Laura to be on alert for Morgan Freeman, that she has reason to believe that he is trying to sabotage the reunion. Laura spots Morgan Freeman hitchhiking as they are leaving Kitts Hill and tells Rose to keep driving. Jan says goodbye to Frank DeLauder at his electronics store and gives him an invitation to the reunion. As Jan is leaving, pharmacist Tammy Gannon enters to see if Frank has the new Pocket Instamatic 110 camera that she can take to the upcoming reunion. Frank DeLauder calls the county sheriff, Cecilia Lawless, after Jan tells him about the occurrences she and Laura have experienced with Morgan Freeman. Cecilia sends her best policeman, Richard Russell, out 141 to Kitts Hill to pick up Morgan Freeman and bring him in for questioning. Laura and Jan reconnect in Ironton. Tammy Gannon takes their picture. They meet at Kim Adams' dance school. Kim's dance school is named Makin' It. Laura and Jan give her an invitation and head over to Wilson's Sporting Goods across the street. Laura and Jan walk into Wilson's Sporting Goods and are greeted by office manager Karen Stevens. Karen lets the ladies know that Wilson's glove designer Mark Sammons is currently hosting Morgan Freeman to visit the plant today, giving him a plant tour. Cheryl and Sandy Wilson, the plant managers at Wilson's Sporting Goods, present a white leather autograph glove to Laura and Jan to have the class sign it at the ball game tailgate party prior to the Saturday night reunion. Mark Sammons finishes his plant tour with Morgan Freeman. As Laura and Jan leave Wilson's Sporting Goods, they see the Now Hiring Hookers sign across the street at the Latch Rug Factory. You may remember Dale Johnson and Mary Jenkins were rug hookers at the Latch Rug Factory. Now that they are lottery winners, they quit their jobs. Two expert sewing machine operators, Debbie Blagg and Brenda Joseph, wander across the street on their break to apply for the hooker positions. The walls are closing in on Morgan Freeman. Why has he been following Laura Gannon and Jan Hall all over the world? Ironton's finest are about to find out. Cecilia Lawless and Richard Russell literally have him on the run. Laura and Jan make their last stop. They go to the catering company, You Can Even Eat the Dishes, owned and operated by Sherry Bowman and Tina Hutton. Sherry Bowman and Tina Hutton greet Jan and Laura. Their catering company will be catering the upcoming reunion. Laura and Jan submit the reunion menu to You Can Even Eat the Dishes and hand out the last two invitations. After leaving the catering company, they drive by the Rock Hill Senior High School. Jan notices a sign in front of the school that states, Class of '80 Private Meeting. Police cars arrive. Jan and Laura walk into the school and are shocked and horrified when they walk into the cafeteria. Laura and Jan see two Morgan Freemans sitting in the cafeteria, posing for a picture. Laura asks, "What is going on here?" On the wall, they see a display of Morgan Freeman masks. Cecilia Lawless and Richard Russell have cracked the case. Cecilia and Richard find the 1980 class officers handing out Morgan Freeman masks to their classmates. They pull aside the class treasurer and the class president to question them. Class of 1980 President Missy Burns and Treasurer Cindy Harper admit to a scheme that they concocted. Cindy tells the police that no harm was intended towards any Class of 1979 students. The plan was to follow them around and switch the invitations that they were distributing. The invitations were for the 1989 10-year reunion. Cindy and Missy printed invitations showing the reunion would be a 45-year reunion, not a 10-year reunion. They figured being disguised as Morgan Freeman would not give away their intentions. They only were able to fool 41 students from the class of '79 by switching invitations. These students believe the reunion is for the weekend of September 20th and 21st in the year of 2024. Class of 1980 Class President Missy Burns tells Sheriff Lawless that tonight they were recruiting more Class of 1980 classmates and providing Morgan Freeman masks to help switch the rest of the invitations. Missy has the list of the 41 students that believe the reunion is in the year 2024. She destroys the list. Now there is the fear that these 41 students will believe for the next 45 years that the reunion isn't until 2024. Class of 1979 students believing the reunion takes place in 2024. Ann Stamper, Bill Boggess, Becky Stamper, Beth Bond, Bill Gullett, Brenda Pinkerman, Kathy Stamper, Charles Blakeman, Mendy Wilson, Dale DePriest, Gina Sharp, David Grant, Debbie Moore, Frank Barnhart, Greg Gilmore, Jackie Matkins, Jan Hall, Vernon Stevens, Joey McFann, John Lambert, Renee Johnson, Kathy Burke, Kathy Kaiser, Kelly Jarrett, Kim Adams, Tom Henderson, Kim Davis, Christy Rogers, Larry Robinson, Rhonda Kearns, Mary Jenkins, Mary Wagner, Pam Chaffins, Pam Miller, Paula Chaffins, Tammy Gannon, Penny Houchin, Penny Long, Rhonda Gannon, Rick Farmer, Sheila Mullins, Sherry Thornton, Sherry Evans, Steve Jenkins, Steve Malone, Steve Wagner, and Wanda K. Witt.